ignoring war crimes in Ukraine, not condemning Russia, with India counting on global support for in its struggle with China, its issues with China. How do you think you'll be trusted by others after that? Why do you think anyone will help Delhi after you didn't help others over Ukraine? Thank you.
If I were to take Europe collectively, which has been singularly silent on many things which were happening, for example, in Asia, you could ask why would anybody in Asia trust Europe on anything at all? We have a difficult relationship with China. We're perfectly capable of managing it. A lot of our problems in China have nothing to do with Ukraine, have nothing to do with Russia. They predate it. Somewhere Europe has to grow out of the mindset that Europe's problems are the world's problems, but the world's problems are not Europe's problems. That if it is you, it's yours. If it is me, it's ours. I think I'm 1/5 of the world's population. I am today the 5th or 6th largest economy in the world. I mean, forget the history, civilization bit, everybody knows that. But I think I'm entitled to have my own side. I'm entitled to weigh my own interests, make my own choices.
The war in Ukraine, whereas by purchasing this oil for national interest, India is being asked, are you funding this war?
Tell me if buying Russian gas is not funding the war? I mean, why is it's only Indian money and oil coming to India which funds, but it's not gas coming to Europe which funds? I mean somewhere, let's be a little even-handed out here. Countries in Europe and the West and the United States are so concerned. Why don't they allow Iranian oil to come into the market? Why don't they allow Venezuelan oil to come into the market? I mean, they've squeezed every other source of oil we have. And then say, okay, guys, you must not go into the market and get the best deal for your people. I don't think that's a very fair approach. I noticed you refer to oil purchases. If you are looking at energy purchases from Russia, I would suggest that your attention should be focused on Europe, which probably we do buy some energy which is necessary for our energy security. But I suspect, looking at the figures, probably our total purchases for the month would be less than what Europe does in an afternoon. So you might want to think about it.
This is a really good question, I think. So if Scotland gets out of the UK, it'll be through the democratic process, right? Okay. Crimea was annexed with a Russian tank in front of your doors. Probably not a good way to vote. I end every discussion at home about war and democracy and why it matters. You got China, who's trying to shut down everything close to democracy. In India, you're moving forward. You're having elections. You got your problems like we do at home. But you've chosen the democratic path. When it comes to Kashmir, I don't know how it ends, but let's make sure that two democracies will end it differently. And if you can prove that concept here, then I think it's probably the best way to sell democracy.
Don't worry, Senator, one democracy will settle it. And you know which one. Exact opposite. So I think this is, I mean, by that logic, then we should not do anything which would bring Pakistan into the conversation at all. So, let's not talk Afghanistan. In fact, let's not talk South Asia. So my sense is people are over-obsessing about it. Often the argumentation comes from people who have a viewpoint that we shouldn't have done anything about 370. And mostly there are those people also have a viewpoint we shouldn't have done anything about most things. So I have very little tolerance for that.
On the question of